If you are in the market to buy or sell real estate, or even remotely considering, I'm sure you're getting tons of information being thrown in your face from various sources. You're getting news article headlines saying one thing, and then you have your second cousin's uncle, grandmother telling you something else because they were once a real estate agent back in the day. And then you also have YouTubers making video after video talking about a crash. I know there's a lot of anxiety, frustration, and confusion regarding the housing market, and all of those feelings are justified because the housing market has been a roller coaster for the past 2.5 years. But I'm going to give it to you straight, and I'm going to go beyond the headlines and tell you what's happening in real estate and what Jerome Powell wants to happen to real estate, what Cardi B, yes, that Cardi B, is saying about the real estate market, and what I believe you should prepare for. Stick around. Before we jump into the content, I am Sir Ashley, and if you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you for watching. And on this channel, we talk about money and real estate. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you for rocking with me, and be sure to hit that like button and leave a comment. I learn a lot from your comments, and I always encourage a healthy dialogue, because I understand that not everyone agrees with me, and that's perfectly fine, but I do want to share this with you. If you're interested in videos strictly about the Carolinas, be sure to check out my other YouTube channel. The link is in the description. Now let's jump into what you came here for. Mortgage rates are at 7% and could go higher. It would not shock me if we hit 8% by the end of the year. Home purchase cancellations are above 15% for the second straight month, and home prices fall for the first time in 10 years. Now here we are jumping on the computer. Now this article is from Friday, September 23rd, where it says rates hit 6.7%. Well, since then, this week we have passed 7%. You are firmly in 7% interest rates, even if you have good or great credit. The article highlights that the interest rate now is up from 3.3% at the start of the year. And while home prices have cooled in the past several months, they're still up 13.1% from a year ago. And please leave a comment in the comment section if you can relate to this next statement. The combination has created an affordability challenge for home buyers. I'm seeing that not only home buyers, but renters right now are facing an affordability problem. Now, this is what I think the main problem is, and why I don't think things are going to get easier as we go further on into this year and even turning into next year. And the article quotes Stephen Rinaldi. He's a president of a mortgage brokerage near Philadelphia. And he says, I think the major problem is payment shock. People see the payment of what a home cost at 3.3% in the beginning of the year up to 6.7 or even 7+% right now. I've actually had several clients who got approved earlier in the year for up to $500,000 looking for homes. And when the interest rates rose up back in May, June, they could no longer afford that $500,000 property. So they went back and signed an extension on their lease, but their lease payment went up an additional $400 to $500 every single month as well. So the affordability is impacting everyone, renters and home buyers, and we're not going to change this until there's more inventory on the market. And I'll touch on why I say that later on in the video. So not only do you have about 18 million people who were qualified to buy a home and wanted to buy a home earlier in the year that can no longer get qualified because of these high interest rates, we're seeing home purchase cancellations at 15+%, according to the headlines. And I touched on this last month because they had a similar headline. They want to put this in front of your face like, wow, home cancellations are crazy right now. It's over 15%. But what they don't tell you is that just last year at the same time, mortgage cancellations were 12.1%. Now, last year around this time, mortgage rates were at 3.1%. Right now, it's more than doubled and is over 7%. It's at or right above 7%. So yes, one can expect 3 more increase in home cancellations. That should not surprise anyone. But of course, they're going to lead with this headline that captures your attention with 15+% without saying that just last year there was 12+% of home cancellations when the interest rates were half that it is right now. So please do not get sucked into reading the headlines and thinking that that is the entire or full story or full picture of the situation. Quick word of advice to buyers right now. Now, to protect yourself in these uncertain times, make sure when you present an offer that you are not waiving any contingencies, you're not waiving any inspections. You want to make sure that you do a thorough examination of this home, meaning get your various inspections, your home inspection, your pest inspection. You may even want to get an HVAC inspection. I think those are critical nowadays. And if the seller is not willing to work with you, if some of those inspections point out an issue, then yes, I believe you might need to consider backing out of this purchase contract because this market is shifting. It's still a seller's market, but it's becoming more of a balanced market. And if the sellers don't understand that and aren't willing to meet you on your terms, then there's going to be other opportunities that I think you might need to pursue. Quick scenario of what I'm experiencing right now. Actually, my client and I put in an offer for a property, and the property was absolutely beautiful. It was built in 2020. And yes, we did not think there would be issues regarding the home, but we weren't going to waive inspections and waive contingencies, which the seller wanted us to do. So that was a deal breaker. We were not going to waive repairs or waive inspections simply because the seller wanted us to. We are not in the same market that we were in late 2020 or all of 2021 or even the early part of 2022. Buyers, use every resource at your disposal to make sure that this home is in the condition you want and that you're going to get a fair price for it. And sellers, you need to come to reality. This is not like it was before. If you do not have 3, 4, 5 offers beating down your door trying to buy your property, you are not in a position to tell buyers to waive contingencies and waive inspections. Now, let's listen to what Jerome Powell, the Federal Reserve President, had to say about housing. He said this just last week. So pay attention to what he said, because his words caused a lot of panic and spurred a lot of hyperbolic rhetoric from news commentators and YouTubers alike.
Existing home sales have fallen for 7 months straight. Mortgage rates are at their highest level since 2008. Yet mortgage demand increased this week and housing prices are still elevated. Now, at the end of your June press conference, you mentioned plans to reset the housing market. I was wondering if you could elaborate on what you mean when you say reset and what you think it will take to actually get there.
So when I say reset, I'm not looking at a particular specific, set of data or anything. What I'm really saying is that we've had a time of a red hot housing market all over the country where, famously houses were selling to the first buyer at 10% above the ask before even seeing the house, that kind of thing. So,
now, real quick, he says he's not looking for a specific set of data or one specific thing, but he just told us what he's looking for, what the issue he believed was when there was overbidding or people bidding up properties before they even got a chance to see it. Now, I believe that was an issue as well. That was absolute chaos. So he's not really being forthright because he told us what he's looking for. But let's go on.
There was a big imbalance between supply and demand. Housing prices were going up at an unsustainably fast level. So the deceleration in housing prices that we're seeing should help bring sort of prices more closely in line with rents and other housing market fundamentals.
Now, I do believe that there is an inventory issue, and I'll touch on that a little later as well. But have you seen what he's talking about, a deceleration in pricing? Have you noticed that when you're shopping for a home or even in rental prices? Have you noticed things coming down, or have you been getting a better deal for them? And this is where I really value your input, because where I am in the greater Charlotte area, prices really haven't come down that much. Now, I understand that I'm in one part of the country, so I would like your feedback on where you are and if prices have started coming down.
And that's a good thing. For the longer term, what we need is supply and demand to get better aligned so that housing prices go up at a reasonable level, at a reasonable pace, and that people can afford houses again. And I think we probably in the housing market have to go through a correction to get back to that place.
Now that right there, where he said we probably have to go through a correction to get back to that place, sparked tons and tons of people calling for a crash and saying Jerome Powell wants the housing market to crash. And while I believe he does want prices to level off and to become more affordable, he said correction. Correction is different than a crash. And until we get the fundamentals in order regarding supply and demand, there's absolutely no opportunity or no way to have a crash. Yes, there may be a correction, and the correction is anywhere from a 10 to up to 20% deviation in price. Now, I said earlier in the year, that I don't believe the housing market will crash in 2022. And I still believe that. Yes, home values, we've seen them decelerate based on the numbers by about 6% this past month, to where I believe year on year, homes are up about 7%. So I don't believe we'll see a crash in prices in 2022. I hold firm to that. And everybody talking about a crash in 2020, 2021, and 2022 lied to you. That's all. They fed you this fear. And lo and behold, it turns out that 2020 and 2021 were maybe some of the best times ever to buy a home because interest rates were so low. In fact, did you know that a $600,000 home with a 2.6 interest rate cost the same amount as a $390,000 home at a 6.2% interest rate? So back in 2021, when everybody was complaining about how high and how crazy these home prices are and how they're unaffordable, well, interest rates were 2.6. You could afford that home just as much as you can afford that $300,000, almost $400,000 home last month when rates were at 6.2. But let's go on to what Jerome Powell has to say.
There are also longer run issues though with the housing market. As you know, it's difficult to find lots now close enough to cities and things like that. So builders are having a hard time getting zoning and lots and workers and materials and things like that. But from a sort of business cycle standpoint, this difficult correction should put the housing market back into better balance.
Now, that last part where he talked about builders, I want to do a separate video on that because I believe he's a little bit misguided where he wants builders to build, but with these high interest rates, what's actually happening is the opposite. Builders are slowing down construction. So these higher interest rates are having a double-edged effect. Yes, it's quelling demand, but it's also causing inventory or future inventory to drop off because builders are not building at the same pace they were. Now, one thing that I have seen is that while interest rates has caused demand to drop off a little bit, interest rates went very high in late June and July to about 6.5. But then they fell in August. Some of my clients locked in an interest rate around 4.6, 4.7 in August. And August numbers, as far as new home purchases, people that jumped in the market when interest rates dropped a little bit, were shocking to a lot of people. In fact, a lot of new homes went under contract. A surprising number went under contract in August because of that drop in interest rates. So while demand is being squeezed out artificially because of these higher interest rates, the demand is there. People want to buy homes. They want a place to live and to raise their family. It's just that these interest rates are causing people to sit on the sidelines. So as soon as people are able to afford properties, they're going to be going back out into the housing markets to buy at record numbers. So now let's hear what Cardi B has to say about the housing market. And I believe that she's 100% correct.
I never have helped out so many people for the past 7-8 months. And I remember something, right? Let me tell you something. A couple of months ago, I was helping a cousin get an apartment, right? And now I'm helping somebody else get an apartment. Bro, I was looking at some areas, the way that the prices soar up, the way that the prices soar up, because I'm guessing that even no motherfucking inventory when it comes to homes they're selling right now. Nobody's even trying to sell their fucking homes. So everybody's like, yo, when the interest rate is good, that is high, that's great, because people have to fucking sell their home for less, so you could buy a home for less. And it's like, bitch, it doesn't matter if the interest rate is motherfucking high as fuck. And actually, bitch, there's not even inventory. That's one, but that's another.
So forgive me, I probably should have warned you that she was going to curse. If you knew who Cardi B was, you probably knew she was going to curse. But she is 100% correct. It doesn't matter if interest rates are going up or coming down right now. I'm still seeing buyers, at least where I am, come to the market. And there's not enough inventory, homes for sale, hitting the market. In fact, the high interest rates are causing a lot of would-be sellers that will in turn turn to buyers to sit back and not sell their home. So the high interest rates is actually causing people not to put their homes on the market, causing less inventory. I've had people price out what it would be to sell their home at a 3% interest rate and to buy that more expensive home at a 6.5%, almost 7% interest rate. And once they see that payment, they back away. They're like, no. We're good. We do not need to sell. We do not need to buy. I am perfectly fine with this mortgage payment right here. Yes, it may be a little uncomfortable. We may have to get bunk beds, but we're not selling in order to buy a home that's going to cost $600, $700, or $800 more each and every month. So these high interest rates is doing what Jerome wants. It's squelching demand, but it's also having the negative impact as far as it's not allowing inventory to come to the market. So we will not have that balance, that inventory demand balance like Jerome Powell wants, and have a more solid home price that's not fluctuating crazily, because there's just not enough homes for sale. And until we get the inventory problem under wraps, we're going to be in this position for quite some time. But for right now, for the next 4 to 6 months, it should be very interesting, because during these fall and winter months, there's going to be a stagnation. It's going to be almost a showdown between home buyers and home sellers. Who's going to be the first to budge? Home sellers know that there's not a lot of inventory, and a lot of home buyers are choosing to hold off and to wait. So it's very difficult right now to predict what's going to happen. But I do have words of wisdom and things that you can implement if you're a buyer or seller during these times. Sellers, right now, if you absolutely need to sell your home, be wise in doing so. Price it correctly to begin with, so that way you can have people compete for your property. Do not overprice it, because it's going to sit on the market for a while and then you're going to get lowball offers. And do not, if you need to sell, do not be unrealistic with your expectations. To you buyers out there, buyers, if you need to buy, by all means do so, but do not buy thinking you're going to resell in the next 2 or 3 years. Buy a home if you plan on living in it and staying or owning that home, not necessarily living in it, but owning and keeping that home for the next 5 to 7 years. Do not think it's like those people in 2020 who bought and now they have $100,000 worth of equity. I don't think home prices are going to go off a cliff. I think we're going to remain constant. We're not going to go up. We're not going to go down too much. We're going to remain the same for the next 2 to maybe 2.5 years, I believe. So buy with that in mind. And to you real estate professionals, mortgage brokers, real estate agents, even investors, the next 4 to 5 months may be a little bit difficult. You're not going to be doing as many transactions that you had hoped or that you had been doing for the last year, year and a half. So I hope you planned accordingly and that you are advising your clients for their best interest, not yours. I hope this was helpful. If you want more information regarding money and real estate, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with a friend. I'm Sir Ashley. Talk soon.